Spooky Gulch, a ghost town in the middle of the desert, seems straight out of an old West movie. Mystery Inc. arrived amid howling winds that kicked up dust through the abandoned streets. Wooden houses creaked in the breeze, and an old saloon with precariously swinging doors greeted them. The local sheriff, stocky and reserved, approached the group urgently, claiming that a ghostly outlaw had been terrorizing tourists and locals. Intrigued, the friends decided to help, starting with the saloon. However, footsteps echoed around them, but no one was in sight. The mystery was calling. The desolate atmosphere of Spooky Gulch held a mix of stories and secrets. Daphne, intrigued, explored an abandoned convenience store where she saw what appeared to be a shadow crossing the window. Meanwhile, Shaggy and Scooby, driven by hunger, entered the town's old hotel and discovered a chest filled with mysterious maps and notes. Velma examined markings on the wooden street, suspecting they pointed to something buried. Fred began drawing connections between the clues and the supposed ghost. Everything seemed tied to a larger mystery, hidden under the sands of time. When night fell, Spooky Gulch transformed. Fog began to engulf the streets and envelop the mystery machine, while an oppressive silence took over. Suddenly, gunshots echoed in the distance, making the friends exchange wary glances. Following the maps they'd found, Velma identified a central location that could hold answers: the main street. However, before they could proceed, the specter appeared. Mounted on a horse and with a menacing silhouette, the outlaw demanded vengeance, his voice echoing as if from another realm. The apparition sent the group into a frenzy of panic. With the specter gone, the group decided to investigate at dawn. Despite their protests, Shaggy and Scooby were sent to explore a nearby mine, while Fred, Velma, and Daphne remained in town. In the mine, Scooby sniffed out recent tool marks, suggesting someone had been there recently. Metallic sounds echoed through the dark tunnels, terrifying the duo. Still, they found a small piece of fabric caught on a rock that seemed to belong to the specter. They rushed back to report their discovery, their terrified expressions betraying their lack of confidence in their safety. Fred began piecing together the clues, noticing that the specter's appearances coincided with specific times tied to old tourist excursions. Daphne recorded everything with her camera, while Velma decoded the maps and uncovered something surprising. The treasure seemed to be buried in the saloon. Determined to dig that night, the group gathered the necessary tools. However, before they could begin, the specter appeared again, blocking their entry with ominous words. Tensions rose, and Fred suggested a cautious approach to avoid direct confrontation. Fred lured the specter away, while Daphne and Velma attempted to gain access to the saloon. Amid the confusion, Shaggy and Scooby, searching for a hiding spot, accidentally triggered a trapdoor that led them to a hidden basement. There, they found an old safe with markings similar to those on the map. However, when they tried to open it, they activated a mechanism that echoed throughout the town, momentarily driving the specter back. Outside, Fred and Velma noticed that the specter seemed to follow mechanical movements, strengthening their suspicion of an elaborate hoax. Reunited in the basement, the group examined the safe. Velma, with her analytical eye, discovered it contained gold coins and old documents detailing a rivalry between two local families. Meanwhile, Scooby spotted fresh footprints leading from the basement toward the mine. Fred, realizing the stakes were higher than they had thought, decided to use the contents of the safe as bait to lure the specter. With a plan in place, the group began preparing a trap to expose the culprit and solve the mystery. Velma and Daphne studied the documents and found something even more intriguing: a map indicating the location of an active gold mine hidden beneath the town. Meanwhile, Shaggy and Scooby discovered fresh tire tracks near the mine's entrance, further confirming that someone was using the location as a base. Fred finalized the plan, positioning lanterns along the main street to expose the specter. They knew this would be their last chance to uncover the truth. Night fell, and the specter appeared as expected. Fred activated the lanterns, revealing that the ghost was actually a hologram projected by devices hidden in the mine. Scooby, attempting to help, accidentally turned off part of the equipment, making the hologram vanish completely. The sheriff, who had seemed like an ally until then, was exposed as the mastermind behind the scheme. He used the ghost to scare off tourists and locals while committing robberies and searching for the gold mine. His escape attempt was thwarted by the group's well-executed plan. With the sheriff in custody, the group explored the mine and confirmed their suspicions. Daphne recorded the site, while Velma found additional evidence linking the sheriff to other crimes in the area. Fred suggested handing everything over to the authorities, but Velma believed there was still more to uncover. Meanwhile, Scooby, curiously sniffing around, found a small chest of gold coins hidden in a crevice. Everyone laughed at Scooby's enthusiasm, as he seemed more interested in the gold than the solved mystery. As the group left the mine, Fred organized the documents and evidence to hand over to local authorities. Daphne, still curious, reviewed the footage on her camera, searching for anything they might have missed. Velma, on the other hand, was convinced the sheriff wasn't acting alone, given the tire tracks and the complexity of the holographic devices. Shaggy and Scooby, famished after the adventure, decided to explore an old cart nearby in search of food. The group knew the mystery was solved, but not entirely unraveled. Fred led the group back to town to report their findings to the residents. The townspeople, shocked to learn that the sheriff was behind the chaos, began cooperating with Mystery Inc., sharing more details about recent disappearances and the fear that had gripped the town. Daphne interviewed several people, while Velma reviewed the maps again. An elderly resident spoke of an old rivalry between two powerful families who had controlled the mine for decades, hinting that the conflict wasn't truly over. Back at the saloon, Velma discovered additional records hidden beneath the floorboards, confirming that the gold mine still held valuable secrets. Fred began planning a way to safeguard the site, suggesting the documents be handed over to the town historian for preservation. Meanwhile, Shaggy and Scooby took advantage of the abandoned hotel's kitchen to prepare an impromptu feast. Daphne reviewed her footage, noticing something peculiar: a distant figure watching the group as they left the mine, accidentally captured in one of her videos. As they prepared to leave Spooky Gulch, the Mystery Inc. team was surprised by a mysterious figure claiming to be the rightful owner of the mine. He stated that he was a descendant of the families mentioned in the records and demanded the documents back. Fred, cautious, refused, insisting the evidence be handed over to the authorities. The figure, seemingly frustrated, vanished quickly, leaving the group puzzled. Daphne, concerned about what she had seen in her video, showed the footage to Velma, who concluded that the plot extended beyond the arrested sheriff. Back on the road, the group reflected on their time in Spooky Gulch. The sheriff's mystery and the buried treasure had been resolved, but the distant glimmer of lights in the mine and the appearance of the supposed heir kept them on edge. Velma promised to continue researching the town's history, while Fred ensured they would take steps to protect the mine. Scooby, delighted by his discovery of the gold coins, brought laughter to the group. The open road held promise, with the horizon signaling that new adventures awaited Mystery Inc., always ready to uncover more mysteries. When Elon Ralston, an unconventional tech billionaire, decided to acquire a sprawling Gothic mansion situated on the edge of a desolate forest, he had no idea of the legends it carried. The mansion had a reputation for eerie occurrences, faint whispers at night, objects disappearing without explanation, and walls that seemed to shift as if alive. These rumors soon became fodder for tabloids. Determined to debunk the supernatural chatter, and showcase science's dominance over superstition, Ralston hired the renowned Mystery Inc. team. As their van approached the estate under a stormy sky, the air grew thick with tension. The towering gates groaned open, and the mansion's dark silhouette loomed ahead, almost as if it were observing their arrival. Inside, the mansion's foreboding atmosphere was palpable. Each corner seemed meticulously crafted to unsettle its visitors. Walls were adorned with ancient tapestries, and every step the group took echoed ominously through the cavernous entry hall. Fred led the charge, while Daphne recorded everything with her camera. Velma scrutinized the carvings on the walls, her sharp eyes catching peculiar patterns. Shaggy and Scooby, already jittery, lingered near the kitchen, hoping to find solace in snacks. However, their plans were cut short when a faint, chilling whisper snaked through the corridors, followed by a scratching sound that sent shivers down their spines. The whispers intensified, and Daphne's eyes widened as she spotted a shadow flitting across the upstairs balcony. Fred proposed splitting up to cover more ground, much to the dismay of Shaggy and Scooby, who clung to each other in fear. Velma's attention remained fixed on cryptic symbols etched into the walls. She identified them as ancient cryptographic formulas and began deciphering them. Just then, a door that had been firmly locked moments ago creaked open by itself, adding to the mounting tension. The air grew heavier, as though the mansion itself was urging them to leave. The group ventured to the second floor, where the labyrinthine hallways seemed to stretch endlessly. Fred and Daphne stumbled upon a laboratory filled with futuristic gadgets, some appearing decades ahead of their time. Meanwhile, Velma's decoding efforts pointed her toward the basement. Elsewhere, Shaggy and Scooby found themselves in an opulently decorated dining room. The long table was set as though awaiting guests, but when a chair moved seemingly of its own accord, the duo bolted in terror, overturning dishes and silverware. The sound of eerie laughter echoed in their wake. In the dimly lit basement, Velma uncovered a concealed control panel embedded in the wall. She deduced that the whispers were being amplified by hidden speakers, partially demystifying the eerie phenomena. However, the control system's complexity hinted at a far grander purpose. It also controlled a network of underground tunnels designed either for escape or covert activities. As Fred attempted to explore one of these tunnels, a section of the wall suddenly slid shut, isolating Scooby and Shaggy in a pitch-black room. While Fred and Daphne worked to free their trapped friends, Velma ventured deeper into the tunnels. She discovered a cache of dusty documents that revealed the mansion's original owner, an eccentric inventor who had mysteriously disappeared. The papers hinted at groundbreaking experiments involving holograms and artificial intelligence. Meanwhile, in the darkened room, Scooby and Shaggy stumbled upon gadgets that activated seemingly on their own, adding to their panic. Fred eventually forced the wall open, reuniting the team in the main tunnel. However, their relief was short-lived as a shadowy figure emerged behind them, its form whispering unintelligibly. Velma, staying composed, deduced that the figure was a sophisticated hologram controlled by a device concealed in the ceiling. She quickly worked to deactivate it, even as the projection grew more lifelike and menacing with every passing second. Disabling the hologram led the group to a central chamber beneath the mansion. In the room's center stood a massive machine pulsating with blue and green lights. Velma identified it as an advanced AI system designed to monitor and control the estate. Daphne discovered an audio recording left by the mansion's original owner, explaining that the estate was meant to protect his technological innovations. However, something had gone wrong, and the eye had begun operating independently, creating an environment of fear. As the AI detected the intruders, it began manipulating the mansion's layout, separating the group again. Scooby and Shaggy were pushed into a room where a holographic image of the original owner tried to communicate with them. Meanwhile, Fred and Daphne struggled to access the main control panel, and Velma raced to figure out how to deactivate the rogue system. The mansion seemed to come alive, deploying automated defenses to impede their progress. Fred's search led him to an old manual hidden in a drawer, which contained the reset code for the AI system. As he read through it, the AI unleashed terrifying, ghostly projections to distract the team. Velma remained focused, methodically inputting the code. Daphne, documenting every moment, captured the projections as proof of the AI's capabilities. Meanwhile, Scooby and Shaggy accidentally triggered a button that revealed a hidden safe. Inside the safe, the group discovered blueprints of the mansion and a journal detailing its construction. The journal revealed that Elon Ralston wasn't the first to covet the mansion's secrets. Others had tried to exploit its technology for nefarious purposes. The team surmised that someone was deliberately tampering with the system to scare Ralston into abandoning the property. Once Velma successfully reset the system, the mansion fell eerily silent. The walls ceased their shifting, and the ghostly projections disappeared. Yet Daphne noticed subtle signs that some devices remained active. Fred suggested they search for more clues, and Velma's investigation led them to the library. There, they discovered a still-warm remote control, suggesting someone had been manipulating the system in real time. When the group returned to the main hall, they found Elon Ralston visibly shaken but relieved. Confronting him with the documents, Velma accused him of withholding information. Ralston admitted that the mansion was part of an ambitious project to replicate the missing inventor's work. He confessed that the ISA glitches were unintended, but denied knowledge of who had been tampering with the system. As the team prepared to leave, Fred spotted a glowing light atop the mansion's tower. Using binoculars, Daphne identified a shadowy figure fleeing the scene, clutching a device resembling the remote found in the library. Velma theorized that someone was attempting to steal the mansion's technological secrets, and the team resolved to uncover the truth. Meanwhile, Scooby and Shaggy, still shaken, vowed never to return. On the drive home, the team pieced together the clues they had gathered. Fred analyzed the documents, while Daphne reviewed her footage. Velma examined an amulet she had retrieved from the mansion, pondering its significance. Shaggy and Scooby, finally relaxing, shared a colossal sandwich. Behind them, the mansion stood bathed in moonlight, its mysteries far from fully unraveled, watching as they disappeared into the night.